Good evening, Church One family. Welcome to our midweek worship experience. Come on in, come on in, and come on in. Come on in, grab a seat, take off your hat, take off your jacket, set your purse down, stay a while. For the next hour, we're going to be here in Church One virtual Bible study. On tonight, we're going to have an awesome experience. We all know that Bishop Ervin is an out-the-box thinker, and he is always keeping his finger on the pulse of current movements and communities. Tonight is no different. We have a special show. We're going to talk not only about the Word of God, but we're going to bring in some law enforcement officers to just share their stories and experiences and give some words of encouragement about the current situation. We always know that Bishop is wise when he selects people, so we should not be worried or concerned. Don't get triggered right now by hearing the word law enforcement. Just know that we're doing this for the betterment of not only the Christian family, but the Black community, the white community, the Latino community, just communities across the board. We got to have these conversations. We got to start these dialogues, and we have to do it in safe spaces. And what safer space than the house of the Lord? Amen. All right. So as you gather on in, as you just come on in and just open your mind, open your heart, open your ears, and just be ready to just experience something on tonight that may enlighten you, that may encourage you, that may even empower you. You know, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Also want to give a shout out to everyone that came out last Sunday for our communion service. It was an awesome experience. I'm sure Bishop's going to elaborate on it more, but it was a great opportunity just to be together in the same space on Church One property. We were also very, very, very safe, very, very, very cautious, and we just do what we had to do. So on tonight, like I said, for those just tuning in, we have 3 law enforcement officials, retired and active, and they're going to just share their stories and just give some input, insight about what's going on right now, and hopefully just, like I said, encourage and empower. I'm excited. So as you gather in, please just share, invite your friends, invite everyone you know to come on in and take part of this Wednesday night experience. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we thank you for this time. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this hour. God, we even thank you for this season. Even though we may be confused and concerned, we thank you for it because we know on the other side there is life and life more abundantly. We thank you because right now we're seeing just a lot of walls being broken down, walls of racism, walls of oppression, walls that have just kept us marginalized, and just kept us in certain pockets and certain communities. And we thank you that right now, God, people are listening. People are becoming more aware, and it may be uncomfortable right now, but we know that you are in the midst and that you're going to just bring us through this. And we're going to come through this, God, just stronger, better, and more empowered than we went in. We thank you right now for your guidance, for your wisdom, and for your encouragement. We thank you that you just love us enough to just keep us encouraged. We thank you that you love us enough to just keep sending us messages of just wisdom. Yes, God, wisdom. That's the best way I can think of right now, Lord, that we're able to operate in wisdom and not just race based off of emotion. And we thank you for this night. We thank you for this Bible study. We thank you for a pastor that has a vision that goes beyond what we see and is following your guidance. These and all other blessings, we give thanks and praise in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Church One family. Church One family. All right. So are you ready for the conversation? Are you ready for it? You ready for I think this is part 3 of this conversation. We've been actively engaging in these dialogues since a lot of this stuff began. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to hear what they have to say. I'm excited to hear how Bishop just narrates and guides the dialogue. And I'm excited to see your input because I too will be on the thread with you reading the comments. All right. So at this time, I'm going to just pass the mic over to Bishop W. Todd Ervin Sr.
Hey, God bless you. Thank you, Dante. And of course, the great job you do with the intros and outros and all the wonderful things you do in the ministry. Saw you on the news the other night on Channel 5. All right, Dante, Channel 5, KTLA, giving them a message. Amen. He said, I'm youth pastor at Church One in Long Beach. Bless you, man. Thanks for the shout out for the church. But on this evening in church, I hope you don't grow weary in this well-doing. I'm really trying to do some well-doing in this and make us not only church savvy, but community savvy, socially savvy. And, we've talked about a few things these past few weeks with some panels. I have another panel this week, an exciting panel. One is returning from last week. He's our own Lieutenant Vern Rashad Williams. He's an ex-retired, should I say, LAX PD. He's an LAX PD. He's retired lieutenant from LAX PD. He's going to be on with us tonight. And then also our own brother Merrick Craig Parker. He's a retired sheriff deputy. He's retired and he's going to be on with us tonight. Then we have an active sheriff, a female. What y'all say? African American, a female. Her name is Deidre Thompson. In fact, she's a sister of Pastor Ronnie Hillman. Many of you remember Pastor Hillman. He was a son of mine in the ministry. It's his younger sister, and she's been with the sheriff for quite a while now. And I saw her on Facebook in riot gear. I'm like, whoa. Then also had her blood type on there, what blood type she was. So I guess in case you get injured, they need to know your blood type. So that was also on her vest. That was quite an interesting picture. It just really kind of gave me a war zone effect, if you will. So I was going to give a scripture tonight to give credence to what we're talking about. And it was Romans, in the book of Romans. I'm not going to go into it because I want you guys to start looking for it and try to find it. We're talking about all powers, obey those who have rule over you, powers ordained of God. And I continue to read it. Just some things there I need to just really study some more before I put it on here, because I don't want us to go back and forth about that right now. But I really want us to talk to these experienced law enforcement officers. I have another friend by the name of Andre Lewis. I grew up with him over in Stevenson Village in Carson. He's LAPD. And one thing he has said all the time, we're going to talk about this again tonight, is that a lot of African Americans complain about the police department, but none will go in and become a policeman. And they think it's a bad thing to become a police officer, or peace officer, I should say. And he's saying, he works at the academy and he's trying to get, if you will, some more Black people through the academy so you can police your own neighborhood. So even that's a thought process too, as we talk about these things, especially dealing with the George Floyd situation, which has really been a catalyst to get a lot of conversation, protests, other different things going at this time. So I'm going to bring my guest on at this time. Let's just have some conversation about that. And last week, Vernon Rashad, we talked about some things of the neighborhood, just how it is trying to patrol in your own neighborhood, and how difficult it can be sometimes. You get a sense of rejection, if you will, from other ethnicities and races. But when you come to your own community, Vern, you mentioned that sometimes the Black people look at you as an Uncle Tom. It's like, man, I'm trying to patrol, I'm trying to, and I'm from the neighborhood. I'm from here. So I'm not coming in from somewhere else. I'm from here and trying to patrol here. And I still get the cold shoulder even from my own people. So I just want to kind of get into these conversations tonight and deal with that. There's some things I want to talk about. Number one is being Black male police in America. And then, of course, to Deidre, Black female police in America, or peace officer. Maybe I should say that because we say sheriff, kind of a distinction there from just police, but they're still police, but they're called sheriffs, but peace officer. And then also handling rejection from your own people. Rashad, I want to get into that question a little bit deeper. And then this whole thing about defunding the police. And I was wondering about that because, man, I can't see us not having no police at all. I don't know what that defunding means in definition, but I definitely want to talk about that some tonight. And then how do we maintain our faith in this field of work? How do you maintain your faith in this field of work, i.e. or specifically in this present situation and stuff that we're dealing with? So I'm going to ask about the male police first. There's been a male police in America. And Rashad, since you've been on before, I'm going to start with you. I'm kind of kick off the ball to you and let you run with the ball. Then I'm going to come to Mr. Parker. Usually we do ladies first, protocol in order, but I'm going to let the guys go first. Then we're going to let Deidre kind of expound on being a female police officer in America. Go right ahead, Rashad.
All right, thanks, Bishop, for having me on. For another week. Being a police officer and then being a Black male, it's difficult because first of all, the program's already kind of set against you just to become an officer in the first place. When you apply for the job, it's like you can get disqualified for just about anything. And one of the main things they really go after you on is your credit.
Wow, your credit. Now, I didn't even know that was part of the process. But that's deep because you can have bad credit but have good character. I mean, it's possible. Things have happened before. Bad credit doesn't mean you have bad character. That's what you really think about. And then you look at, some people have good credit, but then they have some psychological issues. So, I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot dealing with that. That's okay. Is that it, Rashad? Dealing with that part? I think Rashad is frozen. Go ahead, Merrick.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to put out a disclaimer by saying that I'm a retired LA County Deputy Sheriff, and my opinions do not reflect the Sheriff's Department at all. They are my opinions and my opinions only. I also agree with him. Credit is a big factor if you're going into law enforcement. When I came on, which was almost 30 years ago, I had to go down to, which was called TRW then, pick up my credit report in a sealed envelope and bring it back to the background investigator. So that is definitely a factor. 1 second, Bishop, I'm gone out for some reason. Oh man.
Okay.
My phone just.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But also, I remember when I first came on, I remember in my community, not everybody, because the people knew my character and they knew the type of person I was, but a lot of people showed me a cold shoulder. I would go in the barbershop and all of a sudden everything would stop. Everything would just stop. Everyone would just stop talking.
What do you want to talk
about? Then, yeah, but as I was on, as I came on, and I know this may seem cliche, I came on the department because I wanted.
I think we lost him. Okay, nope. Deidre, it's on you.
Can you pose that question again?
Black female officer in America. Talk to me.
All right. Well,
Black female officer in America.
In America, I've been on the department. It'll be 21 years in December.
Wow.
And I did not set out to be a deputy sheriff or did not set out to be a cop. I joined the department strictly on a dare. Believe it or not.
Wow.
I joined the department strictly on a dare. And me growing up with 3 brothers, I was the type of person who could not be dared to do anything, or I would do it. And I was dared to fill out the application and submit it. And I couldn't back down to that dare. So I did it. So 20 and a half years later, here I am, a female deputy sheriff and being Black. Honestly, then I didn't think I'd be on this long, but it has been a rewarding career, but it's had its challenges. It's forced me to grow up. Me being the baby of the family and, always being cared for by my mom and my brothers, it kind of reversed roles. I turned into the more responsible one and end up taking care of everybody else. So, I've had, like I said, ups and downs from the very beginning of my career, mostly ups, but, sometimes downs. And I think they've shaped me to be who I am and to cause me to have this longevity, because I'm not a giver-upper. I'm not that person. I never give up. And especially in the face of adversity, I figure, it's easier for me to quit than it is for them to force me out. So I said, I'm going to put them to the test and let them put me out, if there was ever any reason that they would.
I got a question for you. I've got a question for you, Deidre. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Now, I have a brother who's also retired, and he mentioned when he first started that he caught a lot of the N-word in the locker room, N-word this, N-word that, and it was really bad to where he said, "Hey, fellas, can y'all back off the N-word?" He was like the second Black on the department. This is early 70s, first Black in the department, and it was rough on him being a Black male in law enforcement. You're a Black and female Black and female. Just how difficult, or has it been difficult, has that been? Because you said being forced out and things of that sort. Have you ever felt that kind of pressure or anything kind of unsettling, if you will?
Honestly, I've had no difficulties, race-wise, gender-wise, on the sheriff's department. I'm not saying that there never has been behind my back or in the room before I got there. But it has never been brought to my face. Not one in 20 years, not one person has ever stepped to me with any negativity regarding my race or my gender. Now, I do know that I've received unwanted help because of my gender. You know, being a female, they're maybe thinking I'm not strong enough to handle a situation. But I've never received any backlash because of my race or my gender. And I worked for the most part of my career in a majority white town.
Wow.
And I can't say that there hasn't ever been, but not blatant to my face. And I think I've been blessed in that regard. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I saw you in a riot gear the other day. And how does that feel out there dealing with the protesters and all that whole piece right there?
That was an eye opener. The pictures that I posted on Facebook, those were the two. I've only gone out 2 nights, and those were the 2 nights that I went out. The first picture with the helmet on was the first night I went out, and there was actually it was just this past Friday, and there was large crowds protesting here in Santa Clarita. You know, they yelled, not all, but you know, a few yelled profanities and curse words and all this other names. It was hard to stand up there and to take it, but then again, you have to realize they're just words, and the words don't hurt. Sometimes they do hurt mentally, but physically, you know. The second one was less confrontational day, and it was on me. But that first day, it was an eye opener for us. I did not know what to expect. I didn't know what the people would do or say.
Wow.
And so I had to be prepared. And you know, you it's not like you're going into this situation, you know, like Batman and Robin, where you're ready to go for action. You're scared. You don't know what supposed to do. They outnumber you, and you know, you don't know what frame of mind or who that person would be who's willing to give it up for the cause. And you don't want to be the one to handle that person, because you know, you may get hurt, or your partners may get hurt, and you never want to be in that situation. So it's scary. It was scary, but you know, it's a job, and I have to do it. I had to do it.
Now, of course, Dee, I've known you and I've known your family for a long time. I know
you black sellout. I didn't get any of that.
Right. Okay. No, I said I know you and your family. You grew up in Compton, you know, pretty much, but you patrolled, you said, mostly white areas at this point.
Right.
Can you hear me, Dee? Yeah.
I can barely hear you.
I mean,
very, very.
I guess
I'm not sure if it's my end or yours.
Okay. Sorry about that. Mary, can you hear me clear?
Yeah. Can I piggyback on what she was saying, sir?
Vern, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can I piggyback on what she was saying?
Okay, go ahead, Mary.
As far as the deputies in the sheriff's department, I've never been called the N-word by anyone in the department. never had any issues as far as my race was concerned in the department. If there were issues or people were trying to get at me, I didn't know about it. I will say, when it comes to the sheriff's department, they do a lot of training in that area. And if you, people are so sensitive now, even on the department, all they have to do is have an inkling that you have said something about them, and it goes into an investigation. And that's the last thing you want to deal with, is an investigation. But as far as the deputies, I worked with some good deputies, and they were my friends. And so I never had any issues as far as race was concerned with any deputies. And speaking also with
that's
her,
a great testimony. I mean, because
no, and also I think they knew me. I mean, I go to church, don't get me wrong, but if you push me the wrong way, it would not be a pleasant thing. And I never had to go there with anyone. But going back with what she was saying, when I came on, I had no desire to be a police officer, no desire to join the sheriff's department, none at all. I was serving. I was laid off, and I was serving food to the homeless, and with this other guy, and this homeless guy said, that guy put me in jail. And I said, who? He said, your guy you're working with serving the Jews, he works for the sheriff's department. I said, he can't be, he's too nice. Because I at that point, I had only had negative experiences with the police department. And I asked him, I said, hey man, what you do? He said, I work for the sheriff's department. I said, there's no way, you're too nice. And so that's when everything jumped off for me, and I came on, and he helped me to get on. His name was Duncan Phillips. He helped me to get a job, and for that I'm so grateful. And I'm telling you, you know, my projection as to officers are totally different from what you see on the screen, or what you see on TV. I'm not saying it doesn't occur. Of course it occurs. We see it occurs, but I've had no experiences in anything like that. Okay.
Okay. Well, you said you didn't remember them being anything nice. Were you pulled over when you were younger?
I grew up in Long Beach.
I grew up and kind of harassed or anything at all when you were young?
Yeah, I grew up in Long Beach. I was pulled out of my car countless times, and on my way to work. I was on my way to work to McDonald's. I was pulled out my car, made to sit on the curb. And I remember one day they pulled me over and they asked me to get out. And I said, I'm not getting out today, Doc, not today. And he said, you getting out that car? I said, no, not today. I'm not getting out. And to my, it was just a blessing on my part. He got another call and he had to leave. Because the only way they were getting me out that car would be to drag me out, because I knew I had done nothing wrong. So Long Beach PD, when I was growing up in the 70s, 76, 73, they were not nice to me, not at all. And I'm not saying all of Long Beach Department, because I'm sure they had some wonderful officers also, but that's how I viewed them. And no way did I want to be a part of their society. And when I did, I saw that things were totally different. There are some good officers, there really are, who really care about people, who want to help people, and who want to do a good job. And it's just the few that do a bad job to give everyone else a bad name. You know, and it's just like I say, I've been out there, and I hear mothers say, "Be good. I'm going to tell the officer to take you away," and I'm like, why would you make your child afraid of the police? Why would you even tell your child something like that? If you're not good, I'm going to make the policeman take you away. Why don't you nurture that child and help that child to understand that if you're in trouble, that hopefully the officer will be there to help and protect you.
So flip the scenario. Flip the scenario is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And hopefully you'll get a good. You'll get a good officer who actually wants to do his job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember my brother being at the Pomona Fair. He worked at Pomona Fair for Pomona PD, and a lady did this very same thing. I'm going to have him arrested. He said, "Don't tell him that. He's going to develop a not a good fear of, authority, police authority, and like you said, but then, there's that cop that lives up to that bad reputation too, so you got kind of both sides going there. Vern, jump in here.
Okay, Bishop, sorry about that. I had an internet issues. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So,
yes, sir.
My when I started with the job, the airport police is actually a little different because the airport police started off as a security agency back in the 80s into the Olympics in 84. So when they became the airport police, it was actually like 90-something% black. And it started off as security, and when it became a police department, it was predominantly black. But from pictures that I saw, the upper management, the chiefs and everything still were not black, but most of the workers were. But then once it became a legitimate law enforcement agency, you started seeing us getting hired less and less. And even went like some years where none of us got hired. And we had to complain like, hey, what's going on? Why are we getting hired? And that leads me back to when I said, they were disqualifying us for things like credit and anything else you can think of. But there were instances, when we would speak about where, I would respond to a call, especially when I was a supervisor, I respond to a call and you would see like a black person that would be handcuffed because they committed some kind of crime or a violation. And there was one incident I remember, as if it was yesterday. As soon as I walked up, because I saw 4 officers, they were all white and they're kind of like surrounding them, and he was handcuffed. And I heard on the radio the violation was something minor. So I get there actually just to see what's going on. And as soon as I walked up, the first thing the guy said to me was, "Oh, look at this Uncle Tom right here. Why are you even here?" And I was actually there to help. He had no idea I was a supervisor. So when I actually got there, I had 2 options. I could either take it personally and be like, you know what, go ahead and arrest him, take him to jail. Or I had another option, which is what I ultimately ended up doing, was I said, what, the offense was so minor. I had him unhandcuffed. They released him, but I spoke to him before I left. And first I asked, why did he call me that? And he told me, and ultimately I knew it wasn't personal. He was just tired of the system. And I was just the face of the system at that time, whether I was black, white, brown, it didn't matter. All he saw was the uniform. So I didn't take it personally. And I think that's another reason why we need more blacks and minorities in law enforcement, because we understand the frustration. So whenever you deal with someone on the street, not only can you understand and relate because we've all had negative experiences, but you can try to help educate them on, that all of us are not bad. And unfortunately, you got to remind people that the badge, the uniform does come off. And when it comes off, we get placed back in the general population like the rest of our brothers and sisters. And we still have the same issues to deal with on a daily basis that they have to deal with.
Wow. The other 2, did you guys hear them?
Yes.
So, Bishop, can you still hear me?
Anything you guys want to add to that?
Okay. Yeah. Bishop, I had one more thing. There was another incident, I'll make it real quick, where I pulled someone over. I was training somebody. I was a training officer. I pulled someone over, and it was a black guy. It was nighttime. We had no idea who was in the car, but we saw the violation that occurred. I think they almost hit somebody. And as soon as we pulled him over, he got out the car, yelling and cussing, and started walking towards us, fist balled. And the person I was training, who was a young white officer, immediately went for his gun and pointed it at him. And I started yelling, "Hey, whoa." And I told him, I yelled at him. I said, "Get back in the car," because I could see this turning bad. And thank God he listened to me. He got back in the car, and I approached him and I spoke to him. I said, and I had to do a lot of conversations, throughout my 15 years. And I spoke to him and I said, "Why would you get out the car like that?" I guess he had got pulled over earlier that day and he was just tired. He like, "You guys keep pulling me over." I had to explain to him, I had no idea he had been pulled over, but you can't get out the car like that because everyone is not as slow to pull a gun and to take it to that next level. Luckily, I was there because I said the guy I was training, he was a brand new officer. He immediately went for his gun, and he was nervous because he was new. He had not been in that situation before. I was able to speak to him, calm down the situation, but it's incidents like that where I'm like, the community and law enforcement, like we have to take responsibility for some of our actions. It's just whenever law enforcement makes bad decisions, it can turn to something deadly. And law enforcement is notorious for looking out for their own and covering it up. Even if it's a bad shooting, if it's a good shooting, regardless, they will do everything in their power to manipulate the documentation, or for all of a sudden, certain camera footage to no longer be available. And it's things like that that also bring about that distrust amongst law enforcement and the community.
Thank you. Good insight on that. Good insight on that. We're going to start taking questions in just a moment. Anything else you guys want to add? Parker?
No, sir.
Thompson?
No, sir. When we were talking as far as law enforcement is concerned, I was speaking as far as the deputies. As far as my community, I could tell that people had changed on me. People treated me differently. Even in church, they treated me differently. They automatically assume that, because you are a deputy, you want to be in charge, or that, if you ask them something, they'll say, you don't tell me what to do. And you just bite your tongue and go, oh, okay, whatever, But things are different, but it's how you handle the way it comes to you and your response back to them, But other than that, I enjoyed my job.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. Officer Thompson, talk to me about this defunding the police situation. I'm sure you guys heard the term defunding the police.
No,
what is that about?
This was actually inspired by Kimberly's whole thing last week.
I'm sorry. I have a touch screen on my computer and it went off. Okay, go ahead.
Defunding the police. Do you understand that term, what they're talking about doing, defunding the police?
Hey, Bishop, tell her I
have heard that term defunding. Heard it, yes. I've heard that term, and I'm kind of on the fence with that, because I've seen a lot of where those funds go.
Okay, you're breaking up on us.
And sometimes, believe it or not, somebody had a sign posted, somebody was protesting. Police should not make more money than teachers. That. And I was like, that's very true. At least in terms of my beliefs. I believe that to be true. Teachers are probably the most important careers and people that we put in our children's lives, and they should be very well. When you have police agencies, not every cop, but you have some police agents, some law enforcement officers who make very good money and do overtime, max out in overtime, and they buy toys after toys after toys, meaning toy haulers, motorcycles, CDs, scooter bikes or whatever, and then they go to work and they mistreat the community who actually pays them. I have a serious problem with that. And I believe that, we should be paid based off of our performance. I always thought that. Our pay should be based off of our performance. If you have a black book full of entries, that should affect your pay. And I think you would tend to straighten up your act if it did affect your pay. And then if you were an exemplary officer, cop, or deputy, then your pay should also reflect that. So yeah, I think in some ways we should take a look at what we're paying these law enforcement departments and do some reevaluation.
So you say little black book, is that like this officer had like 17 different things that he had been in violation of already before the George Floyd situation? I mean, he had already done 17s that had been, I guess, written up and looked at and kind of like, oh, well, you know. Is that the black book you're speaking of? Or Marks Against You?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm hearing you very sketchily, but I think I got the gist of what you said. Black book entry is when an officer, especially on the sheriff's department, commits an offense that the department does not condone.
Right.
And most times is on duty, but there are instances where you can commit an offense off duty that brings negative light to the department, and you can still get a black book entry. Now, some officers or deputies have more entries than others. From my understanding, the officer who committed this act against Mr. Floyd had several entries, or several incidences where he was called
in question
to question on his judgment. Called into question on his judgment, and apparently everything was unfounded, and he, was allowed to continue working his patrol. And I believe, had he been reprimanded or scrutinized a lot more, we may not even be here today.
Right. Yeah, agreed. Anyone else on that?
Sure. Bishop, I have a roommate. He drives a Jag, and he gets his haircut in Compton, and he was pulled over by Compton sheriffs, yanked out of his car, put in the back of a patrol car. Didn't do anything. The officer spoke to him like he was dirt, and they went into his vehicle without his permission. Of course, I told him how to file the complaint, and it came back founded. But when you look at someone of his age, of course he would probably say, yeah, we don't need them. We don't need them because of the way he was treated. But when you look at trying to get rid of a police department, basically the only people who want the police to go away are the bad people. Good people want good officers to be in their communities. And I agree with her. Well, let me just say this much. If he had had 17 investigations and they were founded, he should have, in my view, he should have been terminated a long time ago. But it's also my experience that when you are under investigation, the outcome of your investigation is not necessarily the truth. It just depends on who's doing your investigation. Sometimes they're not looking for the truth. They have an agenda already in order for you when they start those investigations. But for him to do, and you can see what he did, I tend to believe that maybe everything that he was investigated for would probably be true, and maybe he should have been terminated years ago.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. That's very good.
One last thing, Bishop. I'm sorry.
Yes, I agree.
And she's also right. As a deputy sheriff, if I do something, if I were to go off on my neighbor, and my neighbor calls IA on me, they will start an investigation upon me because I'm bringing a bad light upon the sheriff's department. He can call and say a lot of things that are not true about me, but the sheriff's department, they will start an investigation up on me to find out if it's true or not.
Okay.
Wow. I'm so glad I'm retired now. So they can't call nobody no more, but really no one messes with me.
Okay. Thank you. Vern.
Yeah, Bishop, real quick, I don't 100% agree with it, because whenever you just defund an entire police department just because, some rogue officers, now you're punishing the officers who didn't do anything wrong. you know, the ones who are actually out there for the community, the ones that are actually out there protecting, serving,
Right.
you know, doing what they actually signed up to do. And, you know, and for you, a perfect example, you know, I just found out that, you know, LAUSD was the second largest school board, you know, in the country. Their union is trying to get rid of school police. And
Wow.
school police hasn't done anything. You have never heard of school police, you know, killing someone or, you know, attacking kids or doing anything outside of their scope of their duty. Yet, because this occurred in Minneapolis and some things that happened in LA over the years and in other cities, all of a sudden, like now, for example, you're attacking the school PD, and it's like, why? You know, they have good officers, you know, and back in the day, LAPD even attacked the airport police, not because they necessarily wanted the duties of the airport police officers, but they wanted the funding. They wanted the money from the airports to
Okay.
go to LAPD, even though airport police's response time was within 5 minutes. It was in our policy. You call us, we have to be there within 5 minutes. Who can say that you call LAPD, they're going to get there within 5 minutes, no matter what the issue is? I mean,
Right.
you could literally call and say your feelings are hurt, and we will be there within 5 minutes. So stuff like that is another reason why airport police was able to survive the takeover they tried to do. You know, and I'm praying that, you know, other smaller agencies like school PD and things like that, that they survive this, because you're hurting a lot of people, not just white officers, black officers, Hispanic, Asian people have families, you know, and they're being punished for something that they didn't do.
Right. Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. I do want to take one question or maybe two. I know we usually, you know, pop them up and we can see them. Any questions? All right. There we go. I would like to know their thoughts on the fact that law enforcement cannot be members of Black Lives Matter. Wow. Didn't know that.
Well, so I mean, I'll answer from what I do know. So there's rules in place to where, like, you know, if anything is deemed to be political or anything deemed to like where you're choosing sides, you're not supposed to be a part of it. In Black Lives Matter, you know, it has a specific agenda, you know, a specific focus. Now, can you be a member of it? Technically, yes, you can, but I can't be out there in uniform, you know, with my Black Lives Matter sign, you know, chanting Black Lives Matter and things like that, because when I'm in uniform, that's not the oath that I took. You know, I'm supposed to be neutral. I'm supposed to be out there, you know, protecting everyone. So to go out there and, you know, it's the same as if, you know, I said, you know, I want a specific president in place, or I want specific policies. I can't do that, you know, and it's one of the things where you're supposed to remain neutral at all time, no matter what your skin color, what you believe in. I've had to stand next to protesters, you know, when Trump got elected president, and there was numerous protests at the airport. I had to stand next to Trump supporters because they had the right to say what they felt, as so did the people who did not support Trump. So when you're in uniform, you have to be neutral. But when you're out of uniform, technically you can. But if someone knows that you're a law enforcement officer and they go to your department and complain, you know, like Mr. Merrick said, it can go to internal affairs. And depending on who's over your investigation will determine what your punishment is going to be. It could be anywhere from.
Did you see on the screen where Dante said, I guess Black Lives Matter does not allow law enforcement to join them?
So, you know what? I'm glad he pointed that out, because there was an incident. You know, anytime a black person gets killed by police, you hear Black Lives Matter. And it's like, you know, and we agree. Everybody on this panel agrees. I've seen incidents. There was an incident in Florida where it was a black officer and she was killed in a parking lot by a suspect, by a black suspect that she was trying to detain. He killed her. There was no Black Lives Matter protest when she died. You know, this black man killed a black female officer, and it's like nobody cared. So sometimes as law enforcement, when we die, we're black and we're in uniform, we say, well, where's the uproar? Where are the cries? How come nobody cares that we just lost our lives? The only people that care when we lose our lives when we're in uniform is our family members. Outside of that, if I got killed today outside of my uniform by an officer, protest. If I'm the officer and I get killed by a black person, there's no protest.
Wow. That's some deep thought right there. Deidre, I heard you say during that segment. Anything you want to say on that? I heard you say Okay, I think she has a bad connection over there with me. Okay, one more question. This is it. Can the culture of the police become changed when white supremacy is protected by that culture?
I'm not understanding the question.
From what I understand from the question, from what I understand from the question, as long as law enforcement is majority white, it's not going to really change because it's that protection that's there. And, when protections are set in place, it's to protect your own kind. So the only way for any type of change to occur is you have to see more black faces in uniform. And our community has to be more accepting and it has to be more tolerant when they see black faces in uniform. Like, you should want to see us in uniform, because I won't say 100%, but I'm willing to say at least 90% of us that are black that go into law enforcement, knowing what we're going to deal with on both sides, we go in there with the mindset that we really want to help. We want to help our communities. And a lot of black people, like the bigger departments like LAPD and the sheriffs, a lot of times we want to go to the black communities. We don't want to go to the white communities and police. We want to go to our own communities, and we literally want to help. So until you see more of our faces in those uniforms, the white supremacy mindset is going to continue to reign supreme in law enforcement.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned that white supremacy in law enforcement, and I just want to talk to the two sheriffs, because I know there was a gang within the sheriffs had tattoos, supposedly a gang within the sheriffs that were non-black that had the tattoos. Can any of you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm really not. I'm not. I mean, I've heard about it, but I don't know enough.
Was that directed to me?
Sheriff.
Yeah,
go ahead. You can tell her what I said. I don't think she's hearing me quite well. Tell her what I said, Merrick, if you don't mind.
Remember the deputies that had the tattoos that were basically, I think, Hispanic, and they had their tattoos, and they were like they were considered like a gang until we found out what was going on. Do you know anything about that?
Keep going in their mouth.
I think Deidre's still in and out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close out because we're near the end where we have to bring it to a close. But thank you all.
I'm trying to figure it out. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you all for being on, and thank you for sharing. And I really bless you, and I thank you so much. And hopefully we'll do this again, and it'll connect a little better than this time. But thank you and bless you, and you guys have been wonderful. I want to thank you so much for that.
Can I say one thing before we hang up?
Go ahead.
I would encourage young black men and women to apply for the sheriff's department, because the only way that change will take place is if you're there to create the change. Before I retired, they DQ'd so many black people. They did not hire black people. They were only hiring Hispanics. That was it. That's all you saw walking through the jails was Hispanics. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of friends, but they DQ'd black people left and right. They were not hiring them. Hopefully hopefully that policy has changed. So I would say with you, to go back and apply again. That's the only thing I would say. That was it. That's all you saw walking through.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Okay. God bless you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and close it out right now, Kwame. Thank you, Church One, for always following and just trying to hear my heart, and what I believe God is saying to me as it relates to talking to us. And thank you all so much. If there's anyone here that needs to be, saved, now's your time for salvation. If Dante is still there to take us away, Dante, go ahead and take us away. But God bless you, love you in Jesus' name. And I pray that all is well with you and your house and your household. Amen.
Hey, everybody. There you go. We had a wonderful Wednesday night conversation. I was watching the comments as it was going on, and thank you for chiming in. There's a lot more to unpack with topics like this. Right now we're only hitting the tip of the iceberg, but with continued dialogue, continued discussion, I think we'll get a much greater understanding of how it feels to be on both sides. So yes, Church One is innovative. Church One is out the box, and Church One is really about the community. So thank you for chiming in on tonight. Before you go, give your offering. All right. You know how we do it. Here we go. So let's talk about offering. We have 4 ways to give. 4 ways to give. The first one we all know about, good old Givelify. If you have your phone, you download Givelify, you download the Givelify app, and you find Church One Ministries, all right? Church One Ministries, and then you will just give accordingly. 111 Church on Givelify, all right? The next option is Zelle. Zelle, you will type in church1finance@gmail.com, church1finance@gmail.com, and the last one is PayPal. PayPal, you type in church1lbc.com, church1LB, am I getting it right? church1lbc.com, exactly. So we have Givelify, Zelle, and PayPal. Last but not least, we have good old faithful, write a check, put in the envelope, put a stamp on it, and put it in the mail. And you can mail it to Church One Ministries, 700 East 70th Street, Long Beach, California, 90805. 700 East 70th Street, Long Beach, California, 90805. All right, Givelify, Zelle, PayPal, and mail. All right. Quick announcements that we have. We have breakfast and lunch, free breakfast and lunch every single day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's at Church One. Free breakfast and lunch. Is it 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.? I don't have my slides in front of me. I don't know. Top of the dome. Free breakfast and lunch every day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that is for children up to 18. So that's every day at Church One, 700 East 70th Street in the city of Long Beach. Stop on by. Also, make sure to follow Church One on our YouTube page. Just go to YouTube, type in Church One Ministries, and you will see it. Click subscribe, and you will always be alerted every time we go live, whether it's Wednesday night or Sunday night, or even Sunday night communion. You'll be alerted via email, okay? And then last but not least, men of Issachar, please email Dr. Shig. Dr. Shig is looking for all men of Issachar to send him an email. His email address is drshig@gmail.com, drshigg@gmail.com, drshigg@gmail.com. All right, men of Issachar are just men of Church One. If you go to Church One, you have no idea what the men of Issachar is, email Dr. Shig and say, hey, I'm a man. Heard the announcement, what's going on? All right. So that's it for this Wednesday night service. Oh, also make sure to check our Facebook page because weekly we get food drop-offs. We had a fresh fruit drop-off on yesterday. We had meatballs and cheese last week. Every week we get something different. It's absolutely free. A lot of people are going through during this time. They don't have just the basic essentials. So we cannot take what we have for granted because some people out there do not have that. Church One has become a place for people to come and pick up just stuff to sustain them from week to week. And we are blessed to be in that position. All right. So that wraps up tonight's Bible study conversation. And we'll be back on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Everyone be safe. Remember, wear your mask. Wash your hands. We are still in the midst of a pandemic. Wash your hands, wear your mask, social distancing, and be safe. Until next time, God bless.